Hey guys, and welcome back to another Road to Rag video. So today, I'm going to clear up some misconceptions and explain a few things about Road to Rag that people seem to misunderstand or question often. I've seen these pop up in the Discords, streams, and my own YouTube comment section enough that I felt I needed to set things straight. So let's go. I've seen people ask if they can trade while leveling during Road to Rag, others are confused on the conflicting rules at 60 about dungeons, and even one person said they weren't going to follow the leveling rules as the Soul of Iron buff was in the game now, so if you don't have the buff, you shouldn't get to participate. A lot of confusion can be remedied by this one simple statement. The Hardcore Challenge and the Road to Rag event are two different challenges with two different start points and goals. The Hardcore Challenge, as we all know, is a leveling challenge. Get to max level without dying and following the given rule set. And just as the Hardcore Challenge rule set implies, once you reach max level, you're finished with the challenge and you gain your character immortality. No more worrying about dying, you can do whatever you want. This is where the Road to Rag event comes in. After reaching level 60 in the classic Season of Mastery, you'll have an option. Retain your immortality, just as the Hardcore Challenge allows, or you can double down and transition into the Road to Rag event, at which point you'll join a new guild filled with 60s who've also chosen to retain their mortality in an attempt to kill Rag. This is an important distinction to remember. Only those who complete the Hardcore Challenge will be allowed to participate in Road to Rag. A lot of people seem to think that Road to Rag covers everything from start to finish, but in reality, we can look at it like this, as separate events. Since these are two different challenges, it's a given that they would have differing rule sets. I've mentioned these before in my We Need You video, but I'll quickly go over them again. On screen now, I'll have the rules for the Hardcore Challenge. And now for the Road to Rag event. While these challenges share some rules, a few things are different. Trading will be allowed within the guild, and open world grouping and dungeon restrictions are also lifted. Keep in mind, these changes only apply to those who completed the Hardcore Challenge and joined the Road to Rag 60 guild. I'm going to cover these next points in kind of a Q&A style. These are based on frequently asked questions I've seen in various places. I'll also be answering multiple questions with each answer as to not make this video an hour long. With the Soul of Iron buff in the game now, do we still need to record our runs? Wouldn't getting to 60 with the buff count as completion? While the Soul of Iron buff looks like an implementation by Blizzard to show support for the Hardcore Challenge, it actually isn't. When you look at the whole picture, the buff is Blizzard's way of implementing a hardcore playstyle in their own way. It doesn't take into account our custom rules such as no trading, no auction house or mailbox, or the unique one dungeon ID per run rule. Another thing to keep in mind is that you lose the buff if you die for any reason. In the Hardcore Challenge, death caused by DC or being griefed can be appealed to allow you to continue your run. But Blizz has already told us that if you lose the Soul of Iron buff, you're not getting it back. There's no way to appeal it. So it's quite possible there will be players who are participating in the Road to Rag event that don't have the buff because they died of DC or being griefed. As for the recording part, I'll cover that in the next question. How are we planning to handle the 60 guild? Are we just getting invited as soon as we hit 60? No, each character will need their Hardcore Challenge run verified before being entered into the 60 guild. And don't worry, we have a much faster process for this now. The new version of the add-on will handle 95% of the verification process. You'll no longer need to record or stream your runs, with one exception. The add-on will not cover you in case of DC or being griefed, so if you want full death protection, it's still suggested that you record. If you're someone who records locally like I do, you can save hard drive space by deleting the video after your run if you had no issues with that day's play session. If you had a DC death or were griefed, save that video. You'll need it for your appeal and later for your verification. What does the new version of the add-on do? Is it mandatory? Yes, the Hardcore add-on will be mandatory, and it does a lot now. As I just mentioned, the add-on will take care of the verification process for the most part. It does this by creating a string of code that records playtime, deaths, and a few other things. You'll be able to upload this string directly to a website, which a mod will quickly look over the string and verify your run. There are two other new features to mention. Firstly, the add-on will show whether other players in the guild have the add-on enabled. Players who have it enabled will be listed in green, while players who don't will be listed in red. If you see somebody labeled red, quickly remind them to turn on the add-on. The other new feature is the add-on will block the use of bubble hearthing. How it does this, I don't know. I'm not a coder, but it works. The add-on will still announce deaths and block the use of the mailbox and auction house, same as it does now, but it won't block trading. This would cause a problem for those playing in duos, trios, or those in the 60 guild. As a solo player, you can get around this yourself by going into your interface in the social tab and disabling trades yourself. With the rules being lifted for dungeons at 60, does this apply only to endgame dungeons, or can I go back to lower level dungeons as much as I want? Absolutely. The restrictions lifted at 60 apply to every dungeon. There will still be a need to go back to lower level dungeons for various reasons, so the idea of lifting the restrictions on only a few of them doesn't make any sense. Why do we still have to follow the hardcore challenge rules for leveling? Why can't they be changed for the Road to Rag event? Simply put, it's just easier this way. There's enough confusion between the two rule sets as is. Considering there are people who will still be playing the hardcore challenge on era servers, or even those on Season of Mastery who have no intention of joining into the Road to Rag event, it would just cause more issues. Keeping the challenges separate makes it easier to clarify the rule sets without having to explain them over and over. Plus, the idea of Road to Rag is that it's the next step of the hardcore challenge. You do one, and then you move on to the next. Can we do this? Is it even possible with the changes to MC? I'll admit, when I first saw the changes to MC, I was skeptical. But after sitting down and talking things over with others, we came to the conclusion that it is still possible. We have an amazing leadership team that is filled with hardcore veterans, theory crafters, and even a few who hold world first achievements in Classic. Between this group and the community at large, there's nothing we can't figure it out. Do us normal people even have a shot of getting into the raid? Aren't all the streamers going to have multiple characters that they'll swap out if they die? This is a major concern for a lot of people, and yes, you will have a shot. I can tell you with confidence that we will include the community in this event, and I say this as somebody who was chosen to be an officer within the guilds. We had a long meeting about everything, and this point was brought up. Say Graves for Days dies, and he is a second druid at 60. We will still take another person over him as long as they are fully geared and ready to go. It kinda goes against the idea of mortal characters when somebody dies and then 5 minutes later, they're back in the raid with another tune of the same class. These rules are stupid. It's easy to cheat. You just have to do this or that, and you can bypass rules X or Y. Not really a question, but it is something I've seen in various forums multiple times now. The Hardcore Challenge and Road to Rag event are player-driven challenges, not something that was implemented in the actual game. As such, we choose to play this way. We are the ones who enforce the rules on ourselves. Yes, there will be people who think they can cheat the rules, and they have figured out ways to do it. The requirement of the new improved add-on will shoot down a lot of these ideas I've seen. As an example, the string code the add-on writes knows when you trade and who with, so we can verify that you didn't trade, or you traded with your duo or trio partners only. And so I encourage everyone to kindly remind people if they try to do something that violates the rules. And if they continue, feel free to talk to your leadership team about it. Hopefully I answered any questions or cleared up some misconceptions you had about the Road to Rag event. If you still have a burning question, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'll have links to the Discords and to the websites down below, and I'll see you guys soon.